Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're exploring Kit de Waal's really poignant novel, My Name is Leon. It's more than just a story, isn't it? It acts as this powerful lens on some pretty profound social issues. We see everything through the eyes of a child, Leon, innocent, but so observant. We'll unpack identity, race, class, and the care system itself.
Exactly. And our sources, the literary analyses and social commentaries, they give us a really rich way into how de Waal weaves Leon's personal journey with these bigger systemic critiques. What I find fascinating and what the sources highlight is how this story, though it's set back in the 1980s, just feels so relevant to discussions we're having right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get into Leon's journey. Identity and belonging, they're right at the heart of it. He's born to a white mother and a black father, so his mixed race heritage puts him in this, kind of unique space, something described as liminal-like, on the edge of two worlds. And here's where it gets really stark, something the analyses pointed out. He's separated from his baby brother, Jake. Jake's white, and he's seen as, more adoptable. Leon stays in care. So what does that separation, that judgment, actually do to his sense of self?
Well, it raises this really critical question about systemic bias, doesn't it? Even if unintentional sometimes. The novel shows pretty starkly how institutions could view adoptability through a racialized lens back then. It wasn't always overt, but it reflected how race could shape these huge life decisions. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, our sources really draw parallels to the disproportionate outcomes for black and mixed race kids in care. That reality was rooted in 1980s Britain. You had wider racial tensions, issues with policing, but disturbingly, it's something that, still echoes today.
And it goes beyond just race, too, right? I mean, the research also pointed towards the gender and power dynamics.
Yeah.
Leon's mother, Carol, her situation says a lot.
It really does.
Her vulnerability, struggling with mental health, poverty, being a single mom, it really pulls back the curtain on how the system could sometimes, strip women of your agency.
Absolutely. And that brings in the intersection of class and social inequality. Carol's lack of money, lack of support. It shows how poverty just makes parenting struggles so much harder. It makes families more vulnerable to state intervention. And kids like Leon, often voiceless. They're just navigating decisions made by adults with very little understanding or, control. It highlights a massive power imbalance.
What I found so effective, though, is how we experience all of this through Leon's eyes. He's young, innocent, but he sees so much. It's not like the book is hitting you over the head with politics. It's just raw human experience. It really makes you feel it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How does that specific viewpoint manage to build such deep empathy, not just for Leon, but maybe for all kids in similar situations?
I think that's probably the novel's greatest achievement, honestly. That cultivation of empathy. By putting you right there in Leon's world, feeling his confusion, his hope, sometimes his heartbreak, it makes the experiences of children in care, who are often invisible, feel incredibly human. It forces you, the reader, to maybe question your own assumptions and get a more nuanced view of these really complex challenges. It bridges that gap between, say, abstract policy talk and the real impact on a person's life.
So, okay, it's set in the 80s, but you mentioned it feels relevant now. How exactly do these themes, race, bias, child welfare, connect to today's conversations? Did our sources point to specific parallels?
Oh, definitely. The core issues Leon faces, they haven't gone away. Bias, sometimes subtle, sometimes not, in adoption or fostering. Social services, often stretched thin, under-resourced. The way single mothers can be marginalized. These are still very much live issues. So the novel, it acts as this quiet but powerful call for more social awareness, for systemic reform. It encourages us to think critically about how well society is actually supporting its most vulnerable members. It doesn't give easy answers, that's for sure, but it definitely pushes us to think about the complex solutions still needed.
Yeah, My Name's Leon really is one of those books that stays with you long after you finish it. So thinking about the listener, what's the key takeaway here?
Well, despite all the tough themes, I think the novel ultimately speaks to resilience, to the possibility of change, however small. You see characters like Maureen, his foster carer, or his friend Tufty. They represent that potential for human kindness, for compassion, to kind of counteract the flaws in the system. It shows that connection can still happen, even within broken structures.
It definitely leaves you thinking. How can empathy and awareness and, yes, actual systemic reform lead to better outcomes for children like Leon? That's a powerful question to sit with. We hope this deep dive has offered you a fresh perspective and maybe, just maybe, inspired you to look a bit closer at the world around you.